All right, DevFest London 2025. We are with yet another fantastic guest, our one and only,
Hello.
Natalie.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Good to be here. I am like a 4 p.m. on a Saturday, on a day of a conference. Wonderful. And ready to have a drink.
Yes, exactly. To wrap things up and have a drink. So, Nat, you do a lot of things, right? But the first question that I want to ask you is like, what made you to do the jump from system and infrastructure engineer to really specialize and becoming a cloud architect?
Yeah, so maybe a bit of context. I'm a senior cloud architect in a company called Zencore. It is a Google Cloud partner, a boutique little engineering, heavy engineering consultancy. We build things on Google Cloud. And that's a very good question that I loved seeing when we were preparing for this. So my background is in systems engineering. I studied 7 years to be a network engineer, and then I accidentally fell into DevOps. And I loved it. You get to build things and systems out of a multitude of products, open source or commercial, that are on the market. You get to know the community. You get to learn from other people. The way I learned the very first product that I had to use as an intern, as a DevOps intern, which was Puppet in 2015, I found a blog of someone who worked at Puppet, and he had a blog called Shit Gary Says, where he was explaining things about Puppet and system, like configuration as code and automation of systems and data centers. And I found it fascinating to be able to learn from somebody who is working in the company. And then eventually I kept working as a DevOps engineer. Eventually that morphed into platform engineering, which is where you don't just build a system, you think about your end users, which are developers or data analysts or data scientists. How will they be using the system and the infrastructure that you build, the CI/CD pipelines that you build, and how do you make their lives so easy that they don't need you?
Okay.
Because you, as a cloud platform DevOps engineer, are not elastic, and the teams never have budget. Worse than us is probably security people who are never even listened to until there is an incident, and all of a sudden there is a need for security people, and the security people are like, I told you about this 16 million times since a year ago. So you need to approach your infrastructure as a platform. So you start building things that are usable by other people. And then eventually I needed to ask myself a question: what would I love to do with my life, with my career? I was loving working with other teams when they were coming to our data platform at the time team and saying, oh, hey, I would like to host a little data science application. There's a framework called Streamlit. We need some compute. Should we use a VM? And I was like, we don't really use any VMs here. We use containers for everything else. How about we find out what to do with your little Streamlit app? And those little things, if you think about it, in essence, that is architecture. And that is consulting, internal consulting. Okay. So I kind of started saying, I would like to go more into architecture. And my director and mentor at the time suggested that I speak to other architects at the company. And they were representatives of the kind of architect that is a very strange being to me. Some architects will be these demigods that exist on the Olympus in vacuum, and then they will make decisions and architect architectures and then descend upon the mortals, provide them with the design document, and then go back to the vacuum. I'm not from that group of people. Like, I work with okay. I'm an engineer, so I will engineer as well. Long story short, when I had to find a new job, I wanted to either go into continue being a staff platform engineer, or go into something principal, which is architecture as well. When you're at the staff or principal level, you are creating a lot of things and you are working cross system, which is kind of architecture. And I love infrastructure, and I love automating systems, and I love building systems. So cloud architecture was the path that was for me.
That's it. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for giving us all this context. But getting back to the security, like by reading your very interesting bio, you said that you have got this soft spot for security and the data platform, which is, unusual. Let's put it that way. So, what are the actual things? Why those two areas excites you? What's the kind of interest?
That's a good question. I guess data platforms is easier to answer. I just worked with building data platforms for data analysts and scientists for a while, and I enjoyed doing that. You get to get visual results of your work because those analysts will then go and build dashboards, and suddenly you see about the company that you work for, the data in a visual way that you didn't know even was possible, and you know how to make that happen. And it's quite an interesting world for me to build those platforms. And for the security, I've always been interested in cybersecurity. And when I was studying, I took a lot of courses in InfoSec and cybersecurity. Like I mentioned, I studied network engineering, and that involves a lot of how do you secure wireless networks, how do you secure satellite networks, and so on. So that's a very interesting area, but I never got into it fully. Like I've never been a security analyst or a cybersecurity, like white hat or blue hat, I've never been on those kind of teams, but I know that as a infra engineer / architect, I can also think about those things and build the protections for the security of the system into my system. And that is an area that is so often overlooked.
Yeah.
And I've worked in so many regulated industries, such as finance, banking, and healthcare. You have to think about those things. And especially think about building data platforms for a regulated industry. You have to know your thing about data protection and security of all of the layers of the infrastructure that you're building. So I enjoy doing that. I enjoy knowing what will happen if you don't do that. So
of course.
While I'm not on the offensive or even the defensive side, I can be the person who builds security into the system before it becomes apparent that it needs security. Everything needs security.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you for giving us that insight. Very interesting. Now, many people may or may not know that you are also a GDE for cloud. So I was really curious to ask you, how being considered an expert in the cloud technology, especially for Google, shaped in any way your day-to-day work? Is there a correlation that you can see with your day-to-day job and also being a GDE in the cloud?
That's funny that you ask it today. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I had an introduction call with a new customer of ours. Okay. And one of the engineers, I am Ukrainian, and I joined the call. There is one person from the customer on the call. Their name is very clearly Ukrainian. So I joined the call, it was at 10 in the morning, and I say, Доброго ранку. And they're like, Доброго ранку, which is good morning in Ukrainian. Yeah. And everybody else joins the call, and this guy says, oh, actually, and we introduce ourselves, right? We're just meeting, so we introduce ourselves. And this person says, I saw you, I know you. I just watched the webinar that you did on building security into GKE and cloud platforms. And I was like,
nice.
So there is a bit of people in the Google Cloud ecosystem, so Googlers or people who work with Google Cloud, they will sometimes recognize me because they have seen a talk, or they have gone to a workshop, or they have gone to a conference where I was participating. That's a very humbling and happy moment always. But in terms of the day-to-day work, for me, community is something to draw inspiration from and to give back the knowledge, but also to learn from other people. In this industry in particular, the way we all converge on the best, most optimized solution for the current problem that the industry is facing is by talking to each other.
Yeah.
So if you think about 10 years ago, people were saying, oh, we don't know if Kubernetes is gonna be the platform of choice, it might go away, it's too complicated, it's too costly, it's very hard to maintain. Well, already then, the community has had converged onto Kubernetes being the platform of choice for runtimes. Now it's even more so, and now we have serverless products that can alleviate the pain of managing Kubernetes. 5 years ago, nobody knew, I think nobody still knows, but 5 years ago, definitely nobody knew how to do AI training and serving the models and inference and what platform to use for that, and everybody was building their own thing. And at the time, during the pandemic, there was this app called Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Yeah.
And I was in the community for data and AI, which was championed by Moazma, who was the head of AI at Microsoft.
Yep.
And we were talking about data platforms, cloud platforms, AI, and so on. And I knew that the products from Google for handling AI and AI workloads were still not very advanced. Like Vertex AI wasn't that advanced then, 5 years ago. And we knew from this community that Microsoft's products for AI were also not that advanced. And that nobody knew what to do. But now everybody sort of converged on a set of products. Like there's Kubeflow and the set of products around Kubeflow. Vertex AI is Kubeflow under the hood. And there is a bunch of things that deal with security of models and serving models. Hugging Face has become the place to go for open source models. So the industry tends to converge on a solution. And we only do that because we go and talk about the solutions that we have built inside our own companies.
Yeah.
So this knowledge exchange powers the advancements of the tech industry and cloud industry and AI in particular.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That was a really nice story. Last two questions, real quick from my side. One, I wanted also to touch on your public speaking skills, if that makes sense. You've been since quite a few years a very proficient public speakers. You just give tech talks to various conferences and stuff. Is there one thing that you would like to tell to the audience, or to the audience to know in terms of what is under the hood, right? Because when we see a tech talk, it might seem easy, someone jumping on a stage, a couple of, let's say, slides, and I mean that's it. But there is a lot which is happening behind the scenes. So is there any of these things that you want to share to try to, our audience to appreciate a little bit more what goes beyond tech talk?
That's a very curious question. Every single speaker that you will ever see on stage, even the most proficient one, is deep down terrified that they have nothing useful to say. Every time I need to figure out a submission to a new conference, and that's something practical that people don't know. Everybody, especially to conferences that community conferences like DevFest or big tech like KubeCon, people submit their talk proposals, and then there is a selection committee that selects the speakers that you will then see on stage. So being a GD doesn't guarantee that I will be on a specific stage at a specific time. So every time I need to figure out what to submit, I face the struggle of I have nothing useful to say. I build cloud platforms every single day. I solve problems for customers every single day. I do advanced stuff every single day. I have nothing useful to say. And everybody goes through that, and everybody goes through the imposter syndrome of what if somebody in the audience knows my subject better than me and they will call me out on a mistake, and so on. Everybody has that. Everybody goes through that.
Yeah, exactly. Keep that in mind. Very, very, very important. So last question to wrap this up. What would be a piece of advice, given your experience, especially in the cloud, that you would give to, perhaps someone a little bit more junior, entry level, someone who really wants to try to get into this cloud world? Is there any specific piece of, advice that you would give to these people?
Yeah, two actually.
Two. Okay.
One is try to choose to do what you enjoy. I was just telling that to one of our volunteers today. When I moved to London in 2017, the market for DevOps was fantastic, so I had the privilege to choose what I wanted to do and who I wanted to work for. Right now, the market is a disaster, so you might as well choose what you want to do. It will be a disaster either way.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well make your choices accordingly. But most importantly, it's because you don't have to spend your life being miserable at work. You will not succeed if you're miserable at work. If you don't enjoy what you do, you will not succeed. So if you're fortunate to find something that you truly enjoy doing, you will become good at it, and you will become a valued person to hire, and you will have a good community and a good career. The second one is don't sabotage your own life and health by taking your job too seriously. Because you have yourself, jobs will come and go, we'll change jobs every couple of years, except now because the market is a disaster. I still love my job, so I'm very fortunate in that case. But there will be people and situations and circumstances in your job that will push you to your limits, and it is not worth it to take it very seriously and to keep thinking about it and to be very, very stressed because of it. Things will come and go, people will come and go. The worst situation that happens to you at work will come and go, and we will recover. If you talk to anybody who has lived through 2000's dot-com bubble, 2008 crisis, and all of us have now lived through 2020 and the 2022 layoffs. Things come and go and things recover. Your health, though, you might want to pay special attention to your own self and to your health and to your life, and try to keep that balance of your attitude to what's important. Of course, you need to take your job seriously, and you need to dedicate yourself and meet your requirements and hopefully enjoy yourself while you do that. But yeah, don't take it too personally.
That's it. Very valuable insight. Thank you, Nat. It was a pleasure to have you here, as always. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference and the drinks afterwards.
Oh yeah. See ya.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.